Hello there my RPG lovers and welcome to another video. The Three Brothers DLC has brought us the city builder feature, and within it there is a lot of new and unique stuff that you can get for your character. If you decide to build an alchemy store, you will get the option to buy bombs and new arrow types from this NPC. However, you will need to progress a bit through the story of this DLC in order to actually upgrade the store and get these new arrow types. But you'll be able to find these new arrow types by just exploring, so keep that in mind as well. As for the bombs, you can also buy them from this specific NPC. Just keep in mind that you might lose the option to build this store if you already have two similar buildings like a blacksmith and an enchanting store. To put it simply, you can have all of these buildings in your city, but you can always play with a friend who might have different stores in his city, so keep that in mind as well. Anyway, this video will be a showcase of all arrow types and bombs. We got 8 new arrow types and 8 new bombs, so let's begin. We'll start off with the explosive arrow. This arrow deals high impact damage, which means it will be useful for stunning the enemy, and it also has an AoE effect which will damage the surrounding area. Forged arrow deals high physical damage, which is always really useful to have, but you can only have 10 of these arrows in your quiver. The next arrow type on the list is Holy Rage Arrow. Cleanse the flames with this purifying arrow. That description is a bit confusing, but the effect of this arrow is actually pretty simple. By itself, it doesn't do anything special, but if your enemy is on fire, your Holy Rage Arrow can turn that flame into a much stronger effect. The color of the fire will change, and the damage over time effect is really strong. It's much stronger than the regular burning fire effects. Then we have Mana Arrow, which deals ethereal damage, and after a few hits with this arrow, you will apply the Haunt Hex on your targets. The next arrow type on the list is Palladium Arrow. It works really similar to Mana Arrow, but instead of ethereal damage and Haunt Hex, Palladium Arrow deals lightning damage and it applies Doom Hex. Poison Arrow is pretty straightforward. It deals physical damage and it applies poison status effect after a few hits. Soul Rupture Arrow is one of the most interesting new arrow types on the list. It applies Aether Bomb effect on the enemy. This effect will take some time to trigger, but it's well worth the wait. The explosion deals some pretty good damage and it will affect nearby enemies as well. The last arrow type on the list is Venom Arrow. This arrow deals decay damage and it will apply the poison status effect after a few hits. Those will be all the arrow types on the list. Now let's take a look at all the bombs that you can use. We'll start off with the Blazing Bomb. This bomb explodes after a while and it will ignite into a deadly blaze on contact with existing flames. The next bomb on the list is Flaming Bomb. It deals fire damage upon detonation and it will also apply the burning status effect. Fragment Bomb deals physical and impact damage to your enemies, and it has a 100% chance to apply the bleeding status effects. Frost Bomb is just what you would expect. It deals ice damage and it will also slow down your enemies. Then we have the Nerve Bomb. This bomb deals ethereal damage and it will apply the confusion status effect on your enemies. Oil Bomb will deal some fire damage and it will apply the Scorched Hex on your targets. The next bomb on the list is Spark Bomb. It has a pretty straightforward effect, it just does some lightning damage to your enemies. And the last bomb on the list is Toxin Bomb. This bomb deals decay damage, but it will also apply the Plague status effect on your targets. And those will be all the new arrow types and bombs. There's always a slight chance that I missed something, so if I did, please let me know in the comments. New arrow types was probably one of the most requested features for the game, and I'm really glad that 9 Studio listened to their community. These new arrow types opened up a lot of possibilities for ranged builds, and they just made the bow gameplay a lot more viable. As for the bombs, I honestly didn't expect this at all. If someone told me that Outward will have bombs in the new DLC, I probably wouldn't believe them. Throwing bombs can feel a bit clunky, but once you figure it out, it's pretty satisfying. It's a cheap way to deal some serious AoE damage, and you should have at least a couple of them in your backpack. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this showcase video, and if you did, pressing the thumbs up button would mean a lot. I almost forgot how much fun I have when I'm making these outward videos, even though it takes me quite a while to finish the editing. Tell me your opinions about this new DLC, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more RPG content. If you want to support the channel in the long run, consider becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You can get your name on the end credits, as well as some other perks like early access to videos, Discord roles, my plans for future content, etc, etc. That will be all, and I'll see you in the next one.